Chris Hansen here of Hansen vs. Predators. To catch a predator and have a seat with Chris Hansen, now I'm going to need all of you to have a seat right over there. There's something you need to know. You're watching Minority vs. Predator. Please like and subscribe. I'll be watching and listening.
What's up, Milkshake Mafia? It's your boy Mental reporting to you semi-live here on the good old Minority vs. Predator channel here on the good old TubeU, and I am joined by my lovely co-host Milky, or the artist formerly known as Milky if you take the shit on my shoulder. So I'm going to try to get through this as fast as I can because I have a ton of screenshots to get through, and I will say right now, this entire conversation is going to be mildly infuriating for me and for you. So hands and feet inside the ride at all times, and grab your popcorn and a beverage because we're going to be spending a lot of time together. Now, there are a couple of reasons why it took me so long to get to this point today. One, he spent an entire month ditching me at the last second every single weekend. He kept blocking me on Instagram, then unblocking me on Instagram, and coming back and leaving and coming back and leaving over and over and over again. Also, I happened to catch COVID, and I've just been enjoying things that make my mental health be in a good place. So, sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry, because I do what makes me happy. Except for this. This is horrible. So, anyway, on the account, it says his name is Sean Faircloth, but through deeper digging that I've done, including today, he also kind of goes by the name Shane. Sean Faircloth, his Instagram name is ThatBoyShane41Love. He messages my decoy Instagram. Hi, I say hi back. He asks what's up. Nothing much, you. He says just chilling. So yeah, asked him where he's from. He says he's from Lacey. I asked him how old he is, and then he answers my question with a question and asks my decoy how old she is. I say 14. He says the meet me says you're 18, which is my decoy's dating profile. I said I know. Had to lie about my age to sign up because I like older guys. If you read my Instagram bio, you would have known that because my decoy's Instagram profile literally says that she's a high school freshman, which would make her 13/14 years old. We're 12, you know, she could be a smart cookie. And he says, I didn't sorry. And he asks, you like older guys? He'll do this a lot where he just doesn't read what I say. We're good. Just power through it. That's when I replied. I just said I liked older guys, so obviously. And then he says, I am 20, question mark, sorry. And another thing, the question mark thing. The question mark thing is so annoying because he will literally message me. If I don't message him back in like 5 minutes, question mark, question mark, question mark, every time. Okay, I gotta get it together. There's like 47 more screenshots to go through. And I said, oh, you look older. I do prefer guys to be at least 24. The reason why I say that is because when I go over to his Facebook profile, well, he's got multiple profiles, I'll say. So he's got the Sean Faircloth Shane Facebook profile here where he's standing on I guess a dock or something like that. And in his about info, it says that he went to Egg Harbor Township High School from 2011 to 2015, which would make him 24 or 25 depending on when his birthday is. And then his other Facebook profile where he's standing in the woods with a black and white photo, in the about section here, it says that his birthday is May 4th, 1997. So at the time of this recording, it means that he just turned 25 a few months ago. So I looked up a Shane Faircloth on Instagram as well, and it's Shane Faircloth 97. You're playing checkers, I'm playing chess. I've been doing this shit for a while now. I can do this shit with my eyes closed. So that was my way to just kind of have him spit out the truth here, because a lot of the times when these guys find out they're talking to a minor, the first thing they do is make themselves younger. Because it makes them think that it makes the minor more comfortable knowing that they're talking to someone that is closer to their age. So I says, I do prefer guys to at least be 24. He says, 24, why? And I just said, just a preference. Talked to a lot of older guys. I realized 24 was a good age that I'm at least cool with dealing with this all. Then he says, wait, so you've had sex with guys that are 24. Then my decoy says that she's a virgin, technically, but she's done some stuff with a couple of 24-year-olds in the past, whatever. They're just better and more entertaining and know more about fun than anyone younger than that, I said. He says, like what stuff? Question mark. Then I tell him what I pretty much tell all these guys, just some touching and rubbing, nothing too crazy. Maybe a little bit of heavy petting, who knows, you know? And then he says, I am 25, actually, I am sorry. Just turned 25 a couple days ago. I said, it's cool, you're forgiven. Then he says, okay, question mark, okay, so, I don't know. And now I'm starting to get some PTSD flashbacks from this conversation, and I'm already starting to get a fucking migraine. He unsent a message, and then I asked him what message did he unsend, and I said, you're not giving me enough time to respond. And that was in response to his constant question marks, because he would always send it 2 or 3 minutes after sending me a message beforehand. He says, sorry. I said, okay, it's fine, just calm down with that. So what was the message you want sent? Then he says, I was just, you want to touch me but freaked out thing, sorry. I'm like, I didn't understand that. Did you say you wanted me to touch your thing? Is that what you meant? I'm trying to make sense of whatever he's spewing out here. He says, if you want, and that's not what I asked. Then I said, thing, as in you want me to touch your dick? Question mark, hee hee. He says, scared. I'm like, what? He says, you want to touch my dick? I'm just kind of scared. And I said, scared of what? He says, you're not gonna say anything? I said, no. Like I said, I did stuff with other guys before. Why would I say anything now? It won't make any sense. He says, okay, I mean, if you want to touch my thing, you can, just yeah. And I was like, if you're okay with it, so am I. And he asked, what else would you like to do? And that's when I'm like, we could just go with the flow, I guess. And he says, tomorrow. So we're gonna go ahead and fast forward to the following day. He asked, what am I doing? And what else have you done? I went to school. He says, no, I meant to guys. And that's when I told him you could benefit from being more specific next time when you ask a question, especially when it's been 18 hours since we last spoke about it. I didn't get back to him, so he messaged me again 7 hours after that. He says, hi, sorry. I said, it's okay, got a lot of homework to get done, but I already told you I was a virgin and all I did with guys is rubbing and touching. And he says, okay, Sunday? What about Sunday? He's like, you busy on Sunday? I said, I'm gonna be out with my cousin shopping. I won't be free till about 6:30 to 7 p.m. He says, okay, so when? And that's when I said, I literally just said what time I was free on Sunday. Then he says, oh, sorry, I can maybe next week if you're okay with that. And then that's when I just lost my shit. I'm like, what's the point of you asking me about a day you weren't even available for in the first place? Calling you dense is an understatement and an insult to the word dense and all of its synonyms. All he says was, okay, so I meant next weekend, sorry. Not gonna lie, I imagine at this point in time I would have already thrown my phone across the fucking room, but I think I'm doing pretty good. Let's move on. So then he asked, what am I doing? And after another 3 or 4 minutes goes by, he sends another question mark, and then that's when I reply. You know when you send question marks minutes after sending a message because I didn't get back to you fast enough for your liking gets really fucking annoying? And he says, sorry, I'm not even playing the role of a decoy anymore. It's just me talking for my soul. Then he says, okay, so? And I said, did someone say queso? That's a fucking stretch and you know it, queso. I will like any comment who could tell me what movie that quote came from in the comment section below. So we move on. He asks, what's up? Watching Netflix, how about you? He says, nothing, but there's something I want to do. So I ask him, what is that? He says, rubbing. And I'm like, rubbing what? He's like, you know. And I'm like, no, I don't, which is why I asked you in the first place. He says, clit. And then I asked him, whose clit are you trying to rub? Whose clit are you trying to rub? He says, maybe. I said, that's not even an answer to the question I just asked you, you brain dead fuck. Were you born with a disability by any chance? If not, why do you act like it? Is it on purpose? Were you dropped on your head as a kid? Did you live too close to a radio tower and frequencies fried your brain cells? Did you crawl into a microwave as a toddler and had someone press the defrost button or some shit? Are you related to Daniel Day-Lewis and happen to be an Oscar award-winning talent? Could it be me? Do I make people act stupid when they talk to me? Do I have a superpower like that? Maybe I'm a dumbass who doesn't know how to comprehend the things you say. Jesus Christ, my therapist is gonna be on the Forbes list by the time they get done with me. That is vintage minnow right there. And he just says, okay. Like he's too stupid to take an insult. He says, anyways, what are you doing Sunday? And can I touch you? And I'm like, I don't have any plans on Sunday. You can touch me if you want. He says, okay. I asked him, where do you live? And he says, Lacey. And he asked, where do you want to go? I'm like, Bubba Coos again. Why not? Who doesn't love a motherfucking double steak quesadilla? And he asked, what are you gonna wear? I'm like, dude, I don't plan my outfits a week in advance. I'll wear whatever makes sense when the day comes. Then he says, I prefer leggings, but yeah, whatever makes sense for the day, then yeah. I said, why would you want me to wear leggings? And he says, well, it'll be easier to touch you. I asked him, that makes sense, what kind of car do you drive? He's like, he drives a Toyota. And I was like, oh, what model Toyota? So I know what to look out for Sunday. He says Corolla, and yeah, leggings at least I can closer touch, but if don't wear underwear, I can get a closer feel. So what I'm assuming he means that he drives a Toyota Corolla, and then yeah, leggings are preferable, and it will be even more preferable had my decoy not worn any underwear, so he can get a much closer feel of the clitoris. Why'd I say it like I'm in a William Shakespeare play? I'm like, yeah, true, that makes a lot of sense. Is touching all you want to do? He says, if you want, and yeah, I prefer if you don't wear underwear with leggings, but then again, it's what you want to do. I said, okay, so I always go to the Bubba Coos in Silverton. We can go there if you want. He says, okay, and yeah, leggings with no underwear would be okay. That's only if you want to. Depends on the weather, of course, but I'll most likely have underwear on either way. And I asked if he was a virgin. He's like, no. I said, okay, I was just asking. Would I I be the youngest you've ever done stuff with? He says, yeah, I mean, if you want to, we can do more than touch. He says, I mean, I always wanted to take someone's virginity, and I asked if he had any condoms. He's like, yes. And I asked him if he's gonna bring them. He says, yes, if you want. And I said, it would be a good idea to have them just in case. Have you ever done it in your car? And then that's when we make the plan between 6:30 and 7 o'clock on Sunday. He's like, where are we gonna do everything? I said, we could possibly talk about that while eating barbecues. Then he says, okay, I prefer the car, but it's up to you. And we'll talk about it over dinner. Talk about it over a double steak quesadilla. And he says, okay, just a little nervous, that's all. And he asked, do you like cum? And then 3 hours after that, he says, sorry. And I'm like, it's fine. I didn't even know you messaged me. And I asked him, why is he nervous? He says, I don't know. I'm just afraid of the authorities. I asked why. He says, well, they find out. I said, well, I wouldn't say anything. I don't want to get in any trouble myself. He says, I will be the one in trouble. Just haven't had anything in a year and a half. And then I'm like, well, I heard this in a movie once. Nut up or shut up. And then he's like, I'd rather nut in you. If I could show you, I would. And I asked, what would you show me? And he says, my body. And I'm like, yo, it's up to you. And he says, I would, but would you show me? Obviously not now, but later. And I'm like, on Sunday? The Sunday is good, and yeah, I want to, but in you, but yeah. And I'm like, yo, you want a what? He says, come, sorry. And I'm like, but I don't want to get pregnant. He says, okay, I am sorry. And I asked him, so you were actually willing to come inside me? And he's like, if you wanted, I am sorry. I said, stop saying sorry so goddamn much, it's annoying. But anyway, you don't want to get in trouble, but coming in me was still an option? He's like, on you, I meant. I said, I may be young, but I'm not stupid. That's not what you meant. There's no need to lie. And he's like, okay, it's what you want, really. Then I replied, I said I didn't want to get pregnant. So in what world would I want that? And how did you even come to that conclusion to ask that question when I shot that idea down 11 messages ago? Literally, not including this one, because I counted back the amount of messages I said before this one. I said, where do you work? He says, Amazon. How long have you been doing that? 1 year. And I'm like, is that your first job? No, just COVID messed things up. Could really use someone to touch me. I said, oh, where did you work before COVID started? He says, liquor store. Oh, nice. I just can't believe that taking someone's virginity, that's why I'm nervous. And I'm like, yeah, I'm nervous too. I might not be good at doing stuff for the first time. He says, it's okay. You just have to lay back. I do all the work. It's basically me moving back and forth, but I bet you're gonna be super tight. And I'm like, I most likely am. Nothing has ever gone into it to stretch it out. God, I can't believe I had this conversation. It's okay. Had you had your clit rubbed before? And I'm like, yeah, but only through the outside of my pants. He says, oh, not the inside? Why? And I'm like, it just didn't happen. He's like, that's why I want you to wear leggings. I feel it and slip my hand down. Have you only touched the dick on the outside of the pants? I was like, oh, that makes sense. And yeah, I only touched on the outside of the pants. Then he asked, oh, so you never fully felt it? Wait till you do. And I'm like, nah, I never fully felt it. And then he's like, just nervous. Yes, me too. It is my first time after all. He says, yeah, but you get to feel a dick for the first time. I'm like, yeah, but still. He says, I mean, yeah, we can touch and all, but if you want to wait to have sex, then yeah, I don't know. I always wanted to take someone's virginity. I'm like, we'll see what happens Sunday is all. We'll talk about it. He's like, okay. And I'm like, man up, dude. I'm supposed to be the only one here that gets periods. He's like, yeah, sad face. I still want to touch you a little. I'm like, I know that's most likely to still happen. I am going to bring a blanket. Are we going to do this more often? And I'm like, as in doing this multiple times on different days? He's like, yeah, or just one day. And I'm like, we'll see. Depends on how good you are. Then he sends a sad face. And I'm like, obviously, I don't want to do anything more if you aren't good. If you think you're good at this stuff, then you don't have anything to worry about. And he's like, okay, I guess. Then I'm just like, just fucking man up. I don't know why you have to make simple, straightforward discussions so goddamn difficult. We are talking about touching, and you possibly wanted to take my virginity, not trying to decipher the Da Vinci Code. You have the experience. You have to guide me through this and make me feel comfortable. Game recognizes game, and you looking kinda unfamiliar right now. And if you could tell me what show that last quote came from in the comment section below, I will heart your comment. And then he asked, is it okay if I finger you a little? And I'm like, it's possible. He says, when I touching you? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I won't go that deep. I'm like, I trust you. He says, I would also like to feel under your bra. I'm like, okay. He then says, if you do have a pair of thongs, I would prefer them. I'm like, sounds good. Wish I can show you my body now. Here we go again with this shit. I said, you could send a picture of your body in preparation. He's like, maybe a picture? I said, yeah. He's like, maybe if I sent one, maybe? I said, just fucking send a picture. It was your idea in the first place. This is the frustration I had to go through for months. You say something, this is your idea, and you act like you have no fucking clue where it came from when you thought of it in the first place. I am so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then we go on to Sunday, the day that we're supposed to meet. I asked him, so is 6:37 good? He says, maybe currently in the ER, sorry. I asked him if everything is okay, he says no. If we can do next week, I am sorry, wasn't expecting to go to the ER, sad face. Then I just hit him with the Stone Cold Steve Austin, middle finger gif. Because why not? So we're going to fast forward about 9 or 10 hours that same day. He asked, what am I doing? Watching Batman. He says, nice, wish I could touch you. Here we go again. I'm like, yeah, I bet. And he says, you still want to touch me? Or, I'm like, or what? Stroke me? Question mark. And I'm like, what do you want me to stroke? He's like, my dick. I'm like, maybe that could happen Sunday if you can hang out that day. And then he's like, why maybe? I'm like, Jesus Christ, don't take my maybe so goddamn literal, Sean. That part of the sentence wasn't my end all be all. It was more of a suggestion if you could hang out or not on Sunday. That's the part of the message you were supposed to process, damn it. He says, okay, are you free Friday? Sunday, I'm not free. I told him, same time, 6:30, 7 o'clock on Friday. He's like, I will let you know, just nervous. And I'm like, don't cancel on me. I'll hate you more than I do now. Let me know. I just tell him, just fucking let me know. Okay. He says, I will tomorrow. I am just nervous about touching you. So obviously he just sounds like a broken record. Then I asked, why are you so nervous about touching me? He says, just nervous to touch your pussy. Because of how old you are, he says. I'm like, you just gotta let me know if you're free tomorrow. So of course he goes ahead and reschedules our meeting from the following day to the following Saturday, which was 8 days ahead. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't know if I'm free next Saturday, so we'll see what happens. And he says, okay, I just wish I could show you my dick. And I said, and what's stopping you from doing that, Sean? The police. Then I said, oh, well, I mean, yeah, but you gotta already be on their radar to even want to look at what you're sending to begin with. But I get it though. He says, okay. I'm like, we could text if you want. It would be safer that way. It's up to you though. And just for confirmation purposes, here is a portion of the phone number that he gave me that day. So we move on to the text messages. Didn't really speak too much the first night, like at all. But the following day, he's like, hey, what's up? A few minutes goes by, sends a question mark. And I'm like, don't start that question mark shit again. I'm typing an essay for English class, fuckface. So for those who have been watching me for quite some time, you know that I get triggered very easily. One is from Hazelton Newman constantly saying, question, question, question. And then it's just question mark shit. So honestly, if I was Batman, my worst villain would be the fucking Riddler. From the riddles to the fucking question marks to everything. Oh my god. Okay, so we're gonna move along. Real quick hit, tell him shopping with my mom. What are you up to? He's like, just got home from shopping as well and got condoms as well. And I asked, oh, for when we hang out. He's like, yeah, is that okay? Also brought something else. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. What else did you get? A vibrator. To make things, I guess, more comfortable. Well, that sounds very interesting. And he says, hey, I think it should be great. So he allegedly bought a vibrator for my 14-year-old decoy. And I'm like, there's always a first time for everything. Can you show me a picture of the vibrator? Just for confirmation purposes. He says, I ordered it online. It'll be here Friday. I can show you a screenshot if you want. So I'm not going to show this on YouTube, but I'll be more than happy to describe what the vibrator looks like. So it kind of looks like, remember the shake weights? Okay, so think of a pink shake weight, but like, instead of like the both ends that like, take one of those ends off and make it, like a handle. So it's like a shake weight with one part that's pink, and it looks like the handle of a fucking lightsaber, okay? Like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, damn, that looks like it could be fun. He's like, yeah, and you have thongs? And yeah, I think it'll make it a little easier. Just wish I can show you. And I'm like, show me what? My dick. I says, I'm cool with it if you are. He says, I don't know, maybe. And I'm like, what is the point in saying you want to do something multiple times just for you not to do it? I don't get it. He says, I would, but I don't want the police to be notified. And I'm like, right. He says, okay, sorry, I'm just nervous. I'm like, yeah, you don't say, because he's only said that a billion fucking times. I am sorry. I'm like, yes. He says, okay. I'm like, what time are you trying to hang out on Saturday? He says, what time are you free? And had you touched anyone recently? I'm like, no, dude. He says, okay, so you want to know how a dick feels? I'm like, just a little bit. He says, what you mean by a little bit? As in, I have a little bit of experience. And he's like, oh, you said you felt a dick like above the pants. I'm like, sure, dude. So anyways, what you doing? And if I show you my dick, can you show me? I'm like, show you what? Your body. And I'm like, what's the point? You aren't anyway, because you are scared the cops are somehow going to find out, then that you'll be nervous. So there's no point even talking about this anymore, because I have had it. I have had it. I have had it with the toe dipping. I have had it with the toe dipping. You either jump in the fucking pool or you don't. Make up your fucking mind. Then he says, well, if I can see you after I show you. I ignore that. He says, hey, you got a time for tomorrow? I'm like, what time works for you? He says, I'd rather do mornings, and tonight, can you try to be touched if you go to like a park? And I'm like, Bubba Coos opens at 11. I really want a burrito. He says, okay, if you're going to a party tonight, you can try to be touched, and can you try to touch a dick? And I'm like, I hate you. And he's like, what? I mean, you don't have to. I'm like, you tell me where we're meeting. In what world can a 14-year-old girl just get up, walk out of her house at 11 p.m. and just go to a party? Just walk to, she doesn't have a car. Like, what are you gonna do? Just gonna do this here? And I'm gonna just do that right there. I gotta stop with that. That's not funny. That's actually pretty bad. So then we go to April 30th. Where do you want to meet if you're free? I said Bubba Coos on Hooper. I really want a taco bowl. This is where do you want to do everything? I said maybe your car and park somewhere private. We'll talk about it at the restaurant while I eat. I'm starving. And then he just ghosts me. I'm like, is 12:30 good? I can get ready now. And May 3rd, I'm like, good game, Mr. Faircloth. So that was May 3rd because he just completely ghosted me. He's blocked and unblocked me about 4 or 5 times through this entire exchange. I'm sorry, like, there was no point in me talking to him any further because I knew exactly how this was gonna go. And you saw how repetitive this conversation was. He just kept repeating the same shit over and over and over, like he's nervous. And obviously he's stupid. Really stupid. So if you happen to know this individual, please no death threats, harassing, don't harm him whatsoever. But just let him know that he needs help, and a lot of it. Oh, and real quick, I forgot. I got a Christmas present from a coworker. Cup says Predator's Tears, but after this exchange, it's actually Minnow's Tears for now, at least. And if everyone would like to support the channel, all you have to do is like and subscribe, because that's free. I would really appreciate that. And in the comment section below, tell me about a positive thing that's going on in your life right now, because I would just love to see the light that people can surely shine in this world, because Lord knows after going through what I just went through, I need to see some good. So go ahead and tell me about a good thing that's going on for you right now, because I would love to see and read that. And also, hey, if you're an animal lover or a reptile lover, leave a like for Milky, okay? Subscribe for Milky, you know? Oh, she looks so fucking adorable when she sleeps. But yeah, if you want to follow me on all of my social medias, which will be linked in the description box below. And I will see all of you very, very soon. I promise.
I can feel my pain again. Wish this would just stay away. I do what I can to get by. Everything is A-okay, and that's just what I'll always say. I'm just gonna sit